as we are recording this, and we're going to put this out like almost right away, so we're up to date. But
Yeah.
the Charlie Kirk trial is going on, and I think there's a digital desensitization that is maybe even more concerning than it would have been in the past, because in the past, at least the gravity of like you are, even if you're a child and you're like, holy, you're traumatized, you're there.
Right.
You see it. You understand a life just ended and things like that. When you're watching it on a video, I think whether it's kids or teenagers or even adults, like there's a video gamification of it. You know what I mean? And that's really, I don't like that at all.
Yeah. They're missing that visceral part of it. And I'll just say this. It's almost rote to say that death has a smell, but it does. When you walk into a scene, blood has a smell. It's got a sickly sweet kind of odor to it. Obviously, decomposing bodies have a smell. There's that kind of acrid thing that's left behind relative to gunfire. The smells of a home, looking, again, my old adage is we're always having to view the abnormal in the context of the normal. Walking into somebody's house and you see a family obliterated at Christmas time, and this should not be part of it. What happens in social media and out there where they're viewing this stuff, I think that there's a level of shock when people are actually exposed to it, when they see it. I was thinking, what was it in Charlotte, for instance, with the young lady that was on the bus and she caught the knife in the neck, the young Ukrainian girl, young lady. And I'm thinking, holy smokes. You think about that happening, and you talk about a public execution. You watch that I guess it was in real time. You've got that CCTV, and you see her life just ebb out of her. She's, stabbed in the throat. But yet you're not there to actually hear her whimpering. You're not there to smell the blood. All those sorts of things that come along with physically being at a scene. And that is incredibly dangerous, People don't realize that they're really brushing up against evil.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. But we do gotta discuss this and go through the Kirk case. We're gonna go through a few different cases today. Obviously, Joseph covers literally everything, so we won't get to all the cases you're covering. But there's obviously some big ones out there. That said, as we are recording this, and we're gonna put this out like almost right away, so we're up to date. But the Charlie Kirk trial is going on, and just to be perfectly frank with you, so you understand like where I'm at with this thing, obviously the whole thing looked crazy when we saw it, and then there was a lot of weird that happened afterwards from an investigation standpoint. I'll bring up a phone call you and I had in a few minutes that was a few days after that'll certainly be relevant today. But we have watched the whole internet turn into these factions with like, these people are saying this, these people are saying that, oh, it's this giant conspiracy, oh, it's not a conspiracy at all. It's a lot of noise, a lot of things. So what I would really like to do today is someone who is not an expert on the case by any stretch. I'm not with it. There's some of it I've just stayed away from. We've only talked about it probably about 4 times on the podcast before, for maybe 10 minutes max each time. But as someone who's not coming out from like the expert lens, I'd really like to just go through the facts on the ground, which I know is literally what you do for a living with this, just to go through what we know, what's now being presented at trial as well that maybe we haven't seen, and what the biggest problems were from the jump. Well,
what we have to understand is what's going on right now is not actually a trial. It's a preliminary hearing. Right. It is a 5-day long process. And what they're trying to do is present the evidence to the judge to determine if they have enough evidence to, in fact, move forward with a trial.
That's right.
And of course, we've caught snatches, along the way. But for the first time, we're kind of seeing this stuff revealed to us in real time, where people are watching this and they're hearing some of this stuff. There's been so much speculation, over these many months, leading up to this moment in time. You see the defendant in the courtroom, you see his counsel, you see prosecution. Eric Kirk has been, in the courtroom. I think she left pretty quickly the first day. They started talking about some things that were rather unsettling, which this whole lead up to this is very unsettling because it's so graphic. You're talking about the evidence that they have, the evidence that they've documented, collected, and tested to this point, what their conclusions are. And I guess what it comes down to when you're doing the calculus on all this, do you have enough to make a case out of this? All right. And it's dense material because we're talking about things like DNA. We're talking about firearms ballistics examinations. We're talking about tool marks, which is kind of fascinating because a Dremel tool was used on the casings to write messages.
Oh, right.
And we're talking about electronics. The list goes on, and we haven't even gotten to Charlie. We'll learn more about what the ME found because, again, that's been a big area of speculation about the nature of the injury, coupled with the type of platform that was used to allegedly pull this off, what types of injuries or injury he sustained, how devastating that was. There's been all kinds of things floating around. And we don't have, the people that are practitioners and that actually do this for a living, they don't have time to sit out there and have a lot of speculative moments. They have to look at the data that they have in front of them and assess it in a logical way because it really doesn't matter what the public opinion is or what the current zeitgeist is. At the end of the day, their measure is going to be taken at trial. It'll be taken at trial relative to what those people on the jury find. If this thing goes to trial, I think that it probably will. They're gonna take a look at that, and is there enough meat on the bone here?
Do you think there's enough meat on the bone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost when they're talking about numbers relative. They're talking about numbers relative to the DNA. Numbers that have been thrown out now are octillion and quintillion. That it could be anybody other than this person or persons, because you got two guys that are either directly involved or peripherally involved relative to DNA. And that's, when I say involved, they've made contact with some of these items of evidence. All right. And that's one of the difficulties that defense attorneys have now because DNA is playing such a huge role in almost every case now. If it's not involved in the case, you have people saying, well, where's the DNA? Right. They expect that DNA will be done in every case. Well, here it's something that really plays a part because you're telling, from a biological standpoint, you're talking about points of contact. And everything from pressing live ammo into a magazine, placing your cheek on the stock of a weapon, all right? Maybe you've cycled the weapon or you haven't, but you've touched the bolt at some point in time. You touched the trigger. You've touched the screwdriver that's found there. You've got a towel that's got deposition of DNA from two separate people. It's a tough hill to climb for the defense. That's just the DNA. All right. So yeah, simply based on that, yeah, there's enough for them to go forward with a trial, in my opinion, from a physical evidence standpoint.
Okay. Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.